Development in the deadly shooting of a woman in the Bronx. Her uncle is now charged with her murder, and police say the motive involved an ongoing family dispute over the inheritance of a home. Eyewitness News reporter Marcus Solis is live at the courthouse in Melrose. Marcus?
And Sade, that dispute had been going on for a few months. In April, Michael Foster had his charge filed against his niece, claiming she forged his name on a deed. That charge was eventually dropped because investigators say he didn't cooperate with them. Now prosecutors say he had his niece murdered. Michael Foster said nothing as detectives walked him out of the 47th precinct last night. That's just a mile from where the NYPD crime scene unit spent hours collecting evidence, removing weapons, including a long gun from his house in Mount Vernon, the same two-family home where his niece Julia Anderson lived. Anderson had just completed her 4 to midnight shift and was parked across the street from the group home when she was shot multiple times, the bullets fired from the passenger side of her Jeep. Investigators believe the motive is a dispute over inheritance of the family home. Records list the owner as Isilda Foster, who died in 2023. The suspect, allegedly angry his mother left the house to her oldest grandchild. And Dino says hearing Anderson's uncle is charged with murder is like something out of a movie.
She was well loved. It really is a devastating news to hear when someone just passes away. We've had employees pass away for illness. This is different.
Are a victim of certain types of fraud. It could be inheritance theft. It could be manipulation of assets. One of the first things they do is to block your mail. They divert it to somewhere else. They keep you from getting it. They stop your mail. They return your mail. So if you're not getting important notifications by U.S. mail, it's because somebody has taken some action, probably illegal, certainly unethical, to keep you from knowing about the things you need to know about. It could be wills, trusts, estates. It could be assets that are supposed to go to you. It could be crucial information you need to make decisions about assets, about inheritance, about people that are relatives that you need to be aware of. And by preventing you from getting it, it's like an intellectual blackout. It's like a blocking of information that you need. By keeping you in the dark, they can do all the things, all the bad things that they want to do to take advantage of you, to take your assets, to take your inheritance, to take what's rightly yours and keep it for themselves. So the first thing you have to do is find out who's behind this.
I'm going to start by prefacing this commentary by saying this is not legal advice of any kind. Once again, this is not legal advice of any kind. If you find yourself in a situation like this young lady was in, or you have survived or are currently in a situation like this as it relates to identity theft, as it relates to possible conspiracy against your rights, as it relates to the moving, mishandling, or theft of assets and or properties or things that you have no idea about. If you find yourself dealing with an executor and beneficiary situation, I would definitely advise you to reach out to legal counsel and find you someone that could assist you. And if your resources are not up to par, then there could be someone that could assist you with legal aid as it relates to a thorough investigation, and that may take on your case pro bono. So now that we've gotten that out the way, I'm going to go ahead and move forward with this commentary. According to Title 18, Section 241, Cornell Law School, the Legal Information Institute states that this is a conspiracy against your rights. If 2 or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege as it relates to the Constitution secured to him or her by constitutional law of the United States, or because he or she is having so exercised the same, then that person shall be fined under this title, which is Title 18, Section 241, or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both, if any unaliving results from the acts committed in violation of this title or of this section, such as holding a person against their will, attempting to hold a person against their will, aggravated SA, an attempt to commit aggravated SA, or an attempt to unalive, they shall be fined under this title, which is Title 18, Section 241, or imprisoned for any terms of years or for life or both, or they may be sentenced to unaliving according to that state. So what is this all about? As you can see at the beginning of this video, there was an uncle, and this is the niece on the screen, who inherited the home, which is her grandmother's property, which is the uncle's mother's property. And she had nothing to do with inheriting that home. But because he wanted that home for himself, he came up with a plan to take this young lady's life because he didn't think that she had the right or deserved to have that property because he wanted it for his own. The inheritance that was set in place for her, this man was so envious and so jealous and so heartless and so greedy that he would rather take her life than to accept that his mother decided that the house would be fitting or the property would be fitting for this young lady. And instead of allowing her to be generous enough, maybe to allow him to stay or whatever, he decided that it would just be in her best interest to not be here so that he himself can take over that property once she was out the way, and he could do whatever he wanted to do with that property, whether it is inhabited or whether it was sell it or whatever. And we have people like that in everyday life, where this young lady, according to her employer, this young lady was extremely humble, and there were many opportunities for promotion, and she turned it down because she wanted to help and aid other people. This very empathetic young lady, with her whole life ahead of her, had her life snatched prematurely by her own flesh and blood because this man did not believe that she was worthy to receive what was rightfully hers per her grandmother's wishes. There are people on this planet right today who have had their lives flipped upside down. Their entire lives have been derailed mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially, professionally. They have been ruined because there are people behind the scenes who know that these people have actual physical inheritances, actual physical things that belong to them, that are rightfully theirs by inheritance. And because they don't belong to them, they don't believe that these people are worthy to receive the blessings that they have inherited, to be the beneficiaries of what has been gifted to them by somebody else's wishes. So if they cannot have it, then they will try to either steal it or withhold information that will allow these people to receive what is rightfully theirs legally and according to the wishes of a loved one. There are people on this planet right today trying to figure out what has become of their lives over the past few years, where there has been so much confusion surrounding your life, where whoever the sole person, the primary person who has conspired to derail your life has been doing it under the guise of a smear campaign or slander, but in essence is not just about envy or narcissism. It is about theft. You may be experiencing someone creating a smoke and mirror of chaos around you to keep you in a state of confusion so that you can be looking over here when the real true crime is over there. You understand? The smear campaigns, the slander, the misperception of your identity, wanting people to see you as less than, or stalking you by proxy is not just about control of your identity, control of your image, or control of the way that people see you. A lot of this is about confusion, distraction, a lack of focus, so that you won't ever discover that it has been something valuable or possibly something tangible or something that will aid in progression as it relates to your life. And so the people who may be working with the primary conspiring person may be under the belief that what they're doing is a little kiki, it is just cruel group harassment and intimidation. But they don't know the real reason for why the person started all of the group bullying in the first place. The whole purpose of creating an entire network around stalking, harassment, smear campaigning, gossip, rumor creation, and rumor spreading was to just get you into a state of paranoia so that you won't have any stable footing or no real foundation beneath you, so that you would be moving from here to there all the time, looking over your shoulder all the time, not having a stable place to work all the time, not being in company and connection with people all the time. So that means that you would be isolated, and you will have no real connections to assist you, not only with your foundational stability, but also people who could aid you in possible discovery of things that you would never even think about as it relates to your personal, professional, and possible financial affairs. You will never have foundational grounding. And when a person does not have foundational grounding, then you are like a vagabond or a nomad. You're moving around from place to place. You don't know if you're coming or going. And in true fashion, this person's objective is working because you don't have a real place to call home or anywhere stable for real information to get to you, because maybe you are in fear, because you don't know why you are being watched. You don't know why you are being tracked. You may not know why you are being followed, but the entire time it could be, this is just conjecture. This is just conjecture. This is only conjecture. It could be that this individual who started it all created all of this smoke and mirror in your life so that you would never suspect the possibility that there is something valuable that they have either taken or they are withholding, and never want you to come into discovery of this thing. They don't want you to ever have this thing. And so I've talked to many clients who are under the belief, and I don't know where they get the belief from, but they are under the belief that based on someone or some people around them and the way that they were moving in their lives as it relates to undermining and sabotaging them was so bizarre that they believe that it was some money involved. How many of you that are within the sound of my voice, it seems as though the concerted effort to undermine and sabotage you was so bizarre and so outlandish and so criminal, was the result of the possibility that there is some money, there could be some land, there could be and or properties, there could be something valuable and tangible and capital involved in their situation. When you are not a professional, there are a lot of information portals that you don't have access to. So a lot of people feel like they've hit a brick wall and then they just stop. Okay. And then also let's talk about the lack of resources. When you are placed in a situation where someone is putting forth a concerted effort for months and even years on end to engage in this level of oppression, because that's what it is according to Title 18, Section 241, it is a conspiracy to oppress you against your constitutional rights. No one has the right to do that. If someone has put forth a concerted effort to try to oppress your movements, restrict you and limit you, then that individual is engaging in an injustice and they are committing a crime. They don't have the right to do that. Or if they have a profession or a job that will allow them to have very important information and they are misusing their access to these professional portals to oppress and suppress the life of another person, to create restriction, coercive control, or to oppress you so much so to where it is threatening not only your livelihood, but creating mental anguish, and you can prove it, that is a crime and it is punishable by law. When people do not have the resources that they need, or they do not have the professional connections to have people assist them with the proper motions and the proper investigations, then they hit a brick wall. They feel like a victim. They feel helpless. They feel powerless, and they give up and they stop. I am not an attorney, but I will say, if you get this inkling in you that there is a possibility that either you have had your identity stolen, or you know for a fact you have experienced mail fraud or anything as it relates to that, I would definitely say you need to really tap into your endurance and your stamina, and it is well worth thorough research, and a thorough personal investigation, because you are the victim. You are not a criminal. You have the right to look into the affairs of your life. No one, I mean no one, and I don't care who they are, has the right to oppress you, suppress you, restrict you, and think they can dominate you and intimidate you by group harassment or any type of organized crime networking to keep you from being able to freely move about in your life without disruption. They do not have that right. So I would definitely advise you that if this is your situation, before it gets so dangerous to the point that the person wants to get you up out of here, that you make yourself visible, whatever, in any way that you can. Make yourself visible. You don't have to create platforms or anything like that, but I would definitely advise you to get out of the shadows of your own life, because being in the shadows and being in the dark and being off the scene, not socializing with people, not networking with others, not coming into community with other people, it makes you more vulnerable, and it will allow these people to corner you and suppress you even greater. You don't have to have money to network with others. You don't have to have all the resources in the world to connect with other people who can be a valuable resource to your life. All you have to do is work on yourself, your communication skills, your presentation, educate yourself, make yourself useful, and make yourself an asset as it relates to life, and find the movers and shakers as it relates to the hierarchy of this society. It is not something that you can uncover or discover overnight, or even in a matter of a few months. It may take you years to uncover this type of conspiracy and this type of criminal behavior, especially as it relates to identity theft, as it relates to mail fraud, as it relates to intimidation, and as it relates to criminal activity by proxy, because you're dealing with two or more people in that situation, and you don't necessarily know who these people are. You may know who the primary conspiring person is, but you may not know the other additional parties who are working for and working with the individual who is trying to oppress, suppress you, or distract you from this level of discovery. So if you have experienced identity theft, and like the gentleman stated in the video, you're dealing with mail fraud or anything like that, first thing you're supposed to do is to reach out to the FTC, and you're supposed to put in a report for identity theft. In this day and age, you are creating a digital trail and a paper trail. And then the next thing you are supposed to do is to reach out to the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. And you can find that information at the bottom as well. You reach out to them. You express to them what you are going through. I'm one of those people. I like to be face to face with people. I like for people to see my presence. I like for people to feel my aura. And I like people to actually put eyes on me and take me serious. But you can actually put in U.S. Postal Inspection Service report and let them know that, hey, you have experienced identity theft and possible mail fraud, and they will begin the digital trail as well as the paper trail as it relates to your identity. And I talk to my clients about this all the time, and if you guys have listened to my content, then you know I am an advocate for creating a folder. Folder building. I remember someone commented and they said, well, if a person is experiencing something to this degree, then them creating a folder is not going to help them. And I don't agree with that. You creating a folder of evidence to prove that there has been some type of conspiring, and you suspect that there's a criminal agenda involved in derailing your life and causing you psychological trauma, causing you emotional distress, causing you financial ruin, and etc., you have the right to build a folder. Do not allow people to discourage you and tell you that there is nothing that you can do because you don't know the right people or you don't have enough money to do it. If you have faith and you believe in God, anything that is done in the dark will come to the light. It is your responsibility to stay on top of your personal and private affairs. You have the right to go down the rabbit hole as it relates to your life. If you're dealing with derailment, why are you pretending like it's not happening? That doesn't mean that you have to go full-blown hysterical. It doesn't mean that you have to go into full-blown paranoia. But what it does mean is that you have the right to look into your life as those who are potentially trying to steal valuable things from you are looking into your life. You're not a criminal. You are a potential victim. So you have the right to go deep and to go far. And another thing, coming out of the shadows of your life and coming out of the dark of your life, you're going to have to trust somebody. There is going to have to be someone that you could trust as it relates to creating safety precautions around your life. You cannot do this life alone. And I know people who don't know where to turn or who to trust because so many people have been involved in this level of criminal behavior and injustice against people. It makes a person believe that they can't trust anyone. But I don't believe that. I think it is so important to find useful people who are real assets to your life and don't really want anything from you. They're just empathetic humanitarians, and they do want to see the best, especially from someone that they see a lot of potential and capability from. Okay? It's not like you don't have anything to offer this world. You are very valuable to this world. If you were not valuable, people would not try to derail you to this extent. And in addition, because there's so many nuances to this and so many layers and multidimensional aspects to this thing, it's not just even the valuable stuff as it relates to possible assets and inheritances. It's also just who you are. It is your strength. It is your tenacity that people are also offended by and intimidated by. Because if you just really lock in and have the focus to kind of really uncover and discover the possibility that you have been stolen from, that even without a team, they know that you are capable to get back everything that they tried to take from you to some extent, or to make sure that they are accountable for what they have done as it relates to theft or criminal behavior regarding suppressing and oppressing your life. I believe that it is worth the commitment to really research this thing. It does not have to take over your whole entire life, which is what it is intended to do. But you can and you should make time to personally investigate the affairs of your life. As you can see from the original video, there was a lot of law enforcement work and detective work that went into discovering the source for why that man took this young lady's life. Everyone who is in a position of authority is not evil. That goes for law enforcement, that goes for government, and that goes for anyone in the legal sector. Everyone's not evil. Just like Satan has his people who do his dirty work, God has his people who do their work. God will and can use anyone that he so chooses to do the work as it relates to his people and to discover things that were supposed to be hidden for life. God is that powerful. You have to know that there is a time and a season for everything. Things that are hidden can be uncovered at any time. If you believe and you have that kind of faith, then you know that God is such a sovereign and powerful force that he can make the impossible possible. There are so many of you, no matter how much time goes by, there is something intuitively in your spirit. There is some type of nudging in your mental. There is something continuing to nudge you, to tell you that this thing is not over, that there is something yet to be discovered, that there is something yet to be uncovered. And no matter how many months go by or even years go by, you still keep getting that spiritual nudge. You still keep getting that intuitive feeling that something is out there and something is uncovered as it relates to you. Let me tell you something about people who create chaos to distract you from discovery. A lot of these people, what they will do, and I just want to make sure I give you a heads up on this, what they'll do is they will try to mirror the tactics that they use against you.
And Sade, that dispute had been going on for a few months. In April, Michael Foster had his charge filed against his niece, claiming she forged his name on a deed. That charge was eventually dropped because investigators say he didn't cooperate with them. Now prosecutors say he had his niece murdered.
So, if they've ever cloned your phone to track you, then they'll say someone cloned their phone to track them. If they've ever stalked you, they'll say that someone was stalking them If they have ever created a whole entire smear campaign, or they have ever created a whole group network to try to oppress, suppress, or criminally restrict you, they will try to make it seem like someone behind the scenes was also trying to restrict their life. But let's talk about a motive. What would be the motive for someone to do that? What would be the motive for someone to change their number and pretend like their phone was cloned? What would be the motive for someone to act like someone was stalking them so they had to move? What would be the motive for someone acting like they were the victim of vicious rumors when they really haven't dealt with any type of real consequence for calling everybody crazy around them? What would be the motive? The motive would be to cause confusion, so that when you have evidence to present that there has been a conspiring against you to derail, to undermine, to sabotage, or to steal something potentially, they can say that your situation is not unique and you're not the only one going through that. They too are experiencing that as well. They too have survived that as well. The same person who creating all of these tactics to oppress, suppress, and restrict you will be the same person to make it seem like your situation is not unique, so it should be dismissed, and what you're saying really holds no weight, and there is no real merit. You understand? They think they're slick. They think they are conniving. They think they are deceitful, and they think that they are 5 to 10 steps ahead of you. But if you understand human psychology, you can frame the motive and you can create an argument to show with real evidence or the stringing of conspiring events of why you believe or suspect that this individual will be trying to do that in an effort to throw off anyone that they believe is in a position of authority to do something as it relates to the accountability of anything that they have potentially stolen, and based on their suspicious activity or based on their suspicious mirroring of activity as it relates to your unique and bizarre situation. There is a possibility to create a framework where you're not emotional, but you just present the evidence and you can show the possibility of why they are mirroring your experience and what would be the motive for them mirroring your experience, especially if you get real, tangible discovery. All of this is about holding people responsible and accountable if this is indeed your story. It may take time. It may take diligence. It may take professionals assisting you, but you have the right to look into your personal affairs. And if upon investigation, you come up with nothing and you turn over every stone and nothing is there, then the possibility of you being able to rest at night is very high. You can finally go to sleep peacefully, and that would regulate your nervous system, and you could finally move on with your life with no additional questions. I would definitely say you should move in on this stuff and start building that folder right away, because by the time these people get through with you, they would think that they're smart enough to hide enough. They think that they have moved a lot of this stuff around. They think that they have put it in enough different people's names, or sold the properties, or sold off a lot of the stuff that belongs to you, because years have gone by. Many of these people believe that they gotten away with what they have done to you because years have gone by. You don't know anybody, or you don't have the money, and they suspect that you don't even know anything about it. So they've maybe moved some of the property or moved the assets, or the possibility that they've sold it and they've spent the money, or they put it in someone else's name, or they have possibly stolen your identity to make it look like you were involved in getting access to your assets and then no longer having it anymore because you sold it or what have you. We really do not know. And that is what we're working with. Okay? We're working with the fact that we don't know. All you have is an intuitive nudge. That's all you have. And I do not believe that the Holy Spirit will grieve a person to that extent if there isn't any truth or possibility of discovery and validity as it relates to this. So if this is your situation, my prayers are with you. I pray that anything that has been hidden, Anything that has been done illegally and criminally as it relates to your life, if there's anything that someone wished for you to have and someone else either decided to take it from you or they decided to withhold the information so that you will never be able to experience it, I pray that God uncovers. I pray that God uncovers. I pray that God uncovers every nefarious, malicious, deceitful attempt to hide, to steal, or to assure that you never receive what is rightfully yours. Don't you stop living. Don't you stop working. Don't stop going to school. Don't stop working out. Don't stop being in love and getting married and having children or any of that. Don't stop your life because of this. But I still believe that it is worth believing and trusting that God will do what God always do, and that is perform miracles as it relates to his people. If this is the type of content that you like, please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't be afraid to share. Thank you so much for your time.